This video is for all mothers of autistic children. Someday your autistic child is going to be an adult, and you are not always going to be there. And we've had some parents of autistic children who, after realizing that they only had a little bit of time left to live, they decided that they were going to kill their own children who were autistic so that they didn't have to live in the world we live in today. Your children will be adults someday. Almost all of the autistic parents that I know, I've tried to get them to speak up, each and every one of them telling me they couldn't. Why couldn't they speak up? Because they're too busy speaking up for their own child. But then it becomes self-serving, doesn't it? When you're only speaking up for your child, or autistic children in general, you're not getting anyone else's story out there. And they're not getting your story out there. You're not sharing experiences. Your children are at the highest likelihood of being thrown out onto the streets with no defenses and no protections. Now you can work together now while you're here to make the world better for your children when you're gone. Or you can wait until you're gone, in which case you've missed your opportunity. I was hoping that some of these parents of autistic children, like Laura Nelson and Amanda Daniels, who I got in contact with one another, or Amanda DeMette if you prefer, each of them using their own kids as an excuse why they can't do anything for anyone else. But then again, that's why nobody else will do anything for them. If you take a look at my situation and all you can say is you're sorry, then you're doing damage to your own children. You're doing damage to their future. If you can act like my friends have through all of this, my family, like it's no big thing. Like I shouldn't have anything to worry about, despite the fact that I'm in all of the top categories for being murdered by a police officer. I'm in the top categories for being abused by the general public. I'm also showing you why. As a male, I am the most likely to be killed by a police officer. Over 95%. It's like 95.4% is men. The majority are men. And you tell me about my special privilege because I'm a man, I'm earning more than a woman. No, I'm not. I get disability. It's less than $1,000 a month. A lot less than $1,000 a month. I make less than $11,000 a year. Color of skin doesn't even enter into it. It's not even in the top 5. Homelessness, that's where your children are most likely going to go when you're gone. Or if something happens to you, heaven forbid you go to jail or prison. That child will become an adult, and that child will be thrown out into the world whether it has family or not. And that child will be at a further risk than anyone else, being murdered by the police, of being accosted and incarcerated, of being abused for being different, even if they're highly intelligent. A lot of people, they like to take these labels that are incredibly mislabeled, like the label of high functioning. High functioning refers to IQ, that's your intelligence quotient, and nothing else. How high functioning was Stephen Hawking? Not very. He was high functional as far as his intelligence went. Yes, he was highly functional, but he couldn't do shit for himself, now could he? Couldn't even wipe his own ass. And that's the problem with these labels. You have these assumptions about us that are incredibly wrong. And those of you who wanna give us a few short years of happiness, no. That's just cruelty. That's selfishness for you. You may only live a year or two. Your child may live on for 60 or 70 years beyond when you do. What kind of a future are they going to have in those 60 or 70 years? What are their chances of ending up homeless and freezing to death before they hit that age? What are their chances of being victimized into homelessness or killed in a robbery? Maybe they're lucky enough to have somebody in their family who helped them to get their disability, but who's going to help them keep it up? Who's actually going to care enough to do something when they're victimized? Who's actually going to stand up for their rights? My parents thought that their responsibility as parents ended at 18, but then again, they never took on their responsibility as parents. My dad wanted me to be Rain Man. Well, I'm not. I am not a fictional character played by Dennis Hoffman. Or some famous dude, I don't know. The point is, if you don't fight for each other's rights, each other's children's rights, we are not allowed to fight for our own rights, whether we are children or adults. The mentally ill tag prevents it, and you need to kill that. You need to kill the name of mentally ill. That term should never be used. It is evil. It is horrible. And it allows the disabled to be victimized and have all of their rights as a human being and as a disabled individual taken away at once. And all it takes is for you to not care. That's all it takes. Instead of it being like an AA support group, why don't you make it more like a study group? An actual support group. How about you make it like having a lab partner? You go in together. You work together. How about instead of giving empty promises that cost people hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and then they show up and you want to give them a sandwich, and then throw that sandwich in their face for the next 6 years. Oh, I gave you a sandwich. Well, fuck you too. Thank you. I'm grateful for the sandwich. I'm ungrateful for the waste of time, the waste of resources. Would have been nice if someone would have been honest. I mean, other than me. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind. Even if they're autistic, even if it's an autistic male, you have no idea. When you hear a black mother talking about how you don't have to give that speech about cops shooting you, au contraire, if your child is autistic, you do need to have that talk with them. If your child is a male, you have to have that talk with them. None of this but stuff.